Good morning. Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class is sponsored by Paula and Nathan Batesh, dedicated in honor of Yaron, Dahan, and family. The Dahan energy is strong in the room today. Yeah, anyway, we're two for three. Inshallah, Be'ezat Hashem. Shevet Dahin Gam Yachad. Sorry? They plugged it there. Okay. Breakfast in the Class is also dedicated in honor of Dr. Howard Sunderling of Boca Raton, Florida, and for successful surgery for Heskel ben Benyamin by Keith Sunderling. As well, Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Nishmat Hanale Bat Shraga Aleh Shalom and Shimon ben David Aleh Shalom, sponsored by their daughter Razy Katz. And as well, Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in honor of NCSY, whose mission is to connect, inspire, and empower Jewish teens by providing them with a wide range of opportunities to experience their beautiful heritage. What a magnificent organization by Ariel Shenzer, Hazaku Baruch. Finally, the Week of Kobru is sponsored by David Yash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to do good today and every day. My friends, I want to share with you something which I found to be fascinating. How are you, Tzaddik? I'm so happy you're here today. Bye. See you soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye. Unbelievable. Shtabach Shemo. God bless. The Pasuk says, Baruch atah Adonai, Adonai melech haolam shehakol niyeh baro. The youngest member of Breakfast in the Class, youngest member of the Minyan, Shtabach Shemo, you should see him grow to be a tremendous Talmid Chacham with wondrous mazal. Should be blessed with Shnei Shulchanot, physical and spiritual, only the best things for him. He is a child that's beloved by our whole community. So Hazaku Baruch Joseph. Okay. The Pasuk says, wow, Soli Asa quietly in the corner. Ki im bitula me'amav yikach isha. The halacha is that a Kohen Gadol has to take someone who's never been married before. He can't marry a divorcee, a Kohen Gadol. And he also can't marry a widow. So the question is, why is he different with regards to the widow? Why, if a regular Kohen, even if he can't marry a divorcee, he can marry someone whose husband has passed away, why can't a Kohen Gadol also marry the same person? Now, I need to share with you because this is just blow away. The Sefer Moshav Zekenim, which was written by the Baalei Tosafot, he writes, and I'm reading you his language here because if I don't read this to you, you shouldn't believe me. Hikshar ibn Yehuda HaHasid. Lama nitztaveh, he asked, Yehuda HaHasid asked, Lama nitztaveh Kohen Gadol b'tula dafka v'lo havana? How come a Kohen Gadol has to marry a woman who's not been married before, whose husband did not pass away? V'tiretz, and he explained, Lefi shehaya maskir Hashem b'yom HaKippurim, because the Kohen Gadol would say God's name on Yom Kippur. V'shema natan einav be'eshet ish. Maybe he saw a very nice looking lady, a wonderful lady, nice midot. She shatra. She runs a beautiful home. He sees a woman, fantastic lady. She's awesome. Ubishat askara, and when he mentions Hashem's name on Yom Kippur in the Bet Hamikdash, Yechaveni should have in mind. He'll have in mind, this guy, the Kohen Gadol, Sheyamut ba'alav yisaena, that her husband should die so he can marry her. Lachen, therefore, Asirat Torah, the Torah forbid. Amrat Torah, the Torah said, he should marry a woman whose husband did not pass away. That way, there's no incentive, because even if he mentions the husband's name and the guy moots on the spot, Baruch Shem Kivod, he dies, okay? Mid-sentence, he can't marry his wife anyway. So therefore, no point in killing the lady's husband by using the Shem HaMeforash. You read this, and you just think to yourself, what are we talking about? That the reason why was that we were worried that the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur in the Beit HaMikdash, while saying God's unmentionable name, that he could only say at that moment, we're worried that maybe he'll use it, the name of God, to kill somebody. Where do we find that, by the way, in the Torah? By Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he sees the Egyptian man beating the Jewish slave, he kills him. How does he kill him? How does he kill the Egyptian? By saying God's name. That's why the Pasuk says, Rashi explains, the next day when Moshe came out and the two Jewish guys, they say to him, we know what you did last summer. Do you know what they say? Halehargeni ata omer. Do you intend to kill me? But Rashi says, Halehargeni ata omer. Do you intend to kill me by speech, the way you killed the Egyptian yesterday? How could it be that this is what we're thinking? That we're worried, that we're thinking that Kohen Gadol, that's what he's thinking at that moment, in that place? Come on. That he saw this girl he likes, happens to be, she's married. Let's off the husband using one of God's names. I just want to know, is there like a special name of God, like to off someone's husband? I'm not really sure. I imagine like so many people from the mafia would love to know that name of God. Okay. We learn from here a tremendous lesson, my friends. The Mishnah tells us, it's quoted also in the Gemara Berachot, Daf Chavtet. Al ta'amin be'atzmecha ad yom motecha. Don't believe in yourself until the day you die. That does not sound like everything you hear on like motivational speeches on Instagram. Memes, post-it notes, inspiring. Everyone is believe in yourself. Comes in Mishnah, Al ta'amin be'atzmecha ad yom motecha. Don't believe in yourself until the day you die. Sheharei Yochanan Kohen Gadol, Yochanan the Kohen Gadol, Shimesh Bekeuna Gedola 80 Shana. 80 years he was Kohen Gadol. 80 years he went into Kodesh HaKodashim and he emerged unscathed. That means he was righteous. And yet, Ulebasof, and in the end, Naaseh Seduki, he switched his life and belief practices to be that of a Seduki. What do we learn from that? We learn that even the biggest tzaddik, in the oldest age, in the holiest place, in the Beit HaMikdash, he also has a Yetzer Hara. A lot of times a person thinks, you know what? I don't need to worry about this. I'm above that already. I'm beyond that stuff already. I'm not, kavod, it doesn't, maybe when I was younger, kavod would bother me. Maybe when I was, more petty. Maybe when I'd never got my name, plastered on the side of a building. But now, I'm already beyond that. I'm past that. Al ta'amin ba'atzmecha, you're not dead, you're not past it. When you're dead, you're past it. And what do we learn? We learn that such is the power of the Yetzer Hara, that at the end of the day, if you are alive another day, it has to be that the Yetzer Hara is capable of starting up with you. Because if the Yetzer Hara no longer had any power over you, there would be 0 point for you to stay in this world. God would take your soul. Because the whole point of being in this physical world is to be able to struggle, to fight, to have those challenges, to make the right choices, to be bocher b'chaim, u'baharta b'chaim, to choose life. If it's not a choice anymore, you're past it, you don't need to be here anymore. God takes your soul. He brings you to the world of truth, brings you to Olam HaEmet, sends you to Gan Eden, Hazaku Baruch, all expense paid, all inclusive, non-stop buffet. My friends, Rav Shimon Shkop was a great Talmid Chacham. When he was very old and he was sick in the hospital, he's old, he was weak, his students would come visit him. They would sit in the room, they would sit outside in the waiting room. One time, the situation happened that the students were outside, they were getting lunch, they were outside, whatever it was. And the rabbi was left alone in the room by himself. An elderly nurse comes into the room. You know, she's overweight, doesn't look so beautiful. She's got everything counting against her, if you will. The minute she walked in the room and the door closed, Rav Shimon Shkop, in his pain, in his old age, jumped out of his bed, ran out the door. The students see their rabbi running out the door. They said, "What happens? Everything okay?" He says, "Well, the door closed. I was left alone in a closed room with the lady. That's the laws of Yichud. Person is not allowed to be isolated in a room with someone, with a woman, if the door is closed, unless they know that someone's going to be coming in, or whatever. The laws of Yichud are, you could go learn them on yourself, on your own time." But they said to him, "But Rabbi, you're so old. You're so unwell. What are you worried? You worried something's going to happen? This woman, she's not Jewish. She's very old, very overweight. She's not beautiful." I want you to listen to the words of Rav Shimon Shkop. You know what he said to his students? He said, "Hayetzer hara ya'aseh oti tza'ir." The Yetzer hara, he'll make me young. Ve'ota tza'ira v'yafa, and her young and beautiful. I read this story, I was shaking. If the rabbi could say that about himself, what are you talking about? I can't be here. Who knows what will happen? They tell a story about Rabbi Yisrael Salanta once. He's sitting in a room, and a person brought some money, and they put the money on the table, and they walked out of the room to go get something. As soon as the person walked out, Rabbi Yisrael ran out of the room. He said, "Is everything okay? What's the matter?" He said, "The law of Yichud is that a person should not be alone with a woman who's not their wife, because we're worried that a person might make a mistake." He said, to leave money with somebody alone in the room, where the person might make a mistake, does it matter which Averah the person might make a mistake? Rabbi Yisrael Salada, the father of the Muslim movement, he felt that there was Yichud on any Averah, on any Isur. This is, again, I want you to understand, this is the head of the movement of Musar. So when we talk about, look, things are not going so well, you're falling, your level in Judaism is not so strong, learn Musar. The one who instituted that, Rabbi Yisrael Salanta. What did he do in his own life when he's left alone with a stack of money? He went running, because maybe he might take it. You never know. The Yetzer Hara, he's wily. He's a trickster. He figures out. And not only, by the way, and everybody knows this truth about themselves, not only does the Yetzer Hara have the strength to convince you to do a sin, you know how good he is? He makes you feel when you're doing the wrong thing as if you did a mitzvah. No, it's mutar, it's allowed, it's for sure. Come on, it's very important. You should raise her spirits. I remember once I saw a rabbi walked up to a lady in the community. He gave her a big hug. Anyway, so I asked him, I was like, I said, is she related? What's the relationship? I said, I never met your wife, mom, I just said, oh, is she related? He goes, no. He goes, but she's going through a difficult time. I was like, okay. Is there no other way but hugs? In his mind, he did a mitzvah. Figure out another way to lift her spirits. Now, it's interesting, because now we live in the Me Too movement. So now we live in an age where if you weren't Jewish, never mind for a sin, you went over to some random lady, you gave her a hug, they'll sue you in court. Why? Because the world is learning, actually, that all those things which were innocent were not so innocent. And all these people that stood on pedestals are being torn down, and we're seeing about exactly what their behavior was with these issues of Kiddusha. And how the people who presented themselves as if they were the paragons of virtue, are being cast out of their job. What a fall it has been for Mishpachat Cuomo Hayekara. Right? Remarkable. But you know what the answer is? The answer is, the Yetzer Hara is smarter than you. You know why? Because the Yetzer Hara is you. It's the desires, it's the things that he knows you're weak in, that he preys on. He finds the elements where he knows you're not sure, or he knows you're weak, or he knows are difficult for you. He's made up of you. It's not some random outsider moving in trying to figure out how to get you to trip up. He knows everything about you. It's coming from you. It's the drive for good within a person. His soul is the Yetzer HaTov, the Nefesh, the Neshama pulling in the right way. The goof of the person, the physical attributes of the person, pull him to the goof type things. And in this war between the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer HaTov, sometimes the Yetzer Hara gets the best of you. And you know what? And you'll be convinced that not only did you do a Avera, you didn't do Avera, you did a mitzvah. I didn't give tzedakah, but you know what? I taught the guy, he needs to get a job. Rohi, he's not coming to your school. You're not his rabbi. You don't need to teach him that lesson. But I did a mitzvah in not giving tzedakah. It's the only way he'll learn. Who died and left you his parent? His rabbi. My rabbi once said that to me. Oh, it was the biggest piece of musar, maybe the biggest piece of musar I got from my Rebbe. I've mentioned this before. A fellow comes to the kollel, he's limping on one leg, the next day he's limping on the other leg. One day he comes in with a sling, I don't even know. You know who I kept thinking? You know who he reminded me of? He was the human incarnate of Wile E. Coyote. Remember that Wile E. Every day his teeth are knocked out, his brain is being blown up, right? This guy must live the worst life ever if every day he's coming collecting in the kollel for another ailment. Now, obviously, what do we all think? The guy's a sketch. He just wants to collect money. So you know what? I went to my rabbi. I was like, look, every day the guy's here. Every day we give him. The guy is never going to learn. If he gets money from us So I went up to my rabbi. I said, look, are we allowed to not give him tzedakah? Because we're only enabling his problem. He's never going to get a job. And my rabbi just looked at me with one of those piercing looks. And he said, you care if he has a job? Have you tried to get him a job yet? That you care that he has a job? That you're making this decision because you don't want him to learn to be right? It was one of those moments where, again, I came with such I'm so righteous. I'm patting myself on the back. Oh, you're so amazing, Shlomo. And just with 2 seconds, he just cut right through it like a hot knife through butter. Did you try and get him a job? So stop pretending that you care whether he collects charity or has a job. I took the musar. I'm also a little bit stubborn. I took the musar. So the next day, before the guy came to the yeshiva and did his rounds for a shekel from each guy in the room, I went around to everyone in the room and I asked everyone in the room, I said, guys, this guy comes every day. Number one, he's costing us a fortune. Number two, he's never going to get a job. His legs are hurting, his heart is hurting, his eyes are hurting. The guy can't run around, Also, he's a big fella. He's sweating. Maybe can't do difficult work. Also, he doesn't have any training in other areas. How could the guy possibly make parnasah? So difficult. So I came with a solution. we're going to get together. It cost at the time 3,000 shekel to buy the medallion so that you could be a cab driver. I said, we buy the guy the medallion. Then he could sit in the car all day, his right leg, his left leg, they're always hurting, no problem. Don't use your legs at all. Sit in the car. You're schwitzing all the time, you're heavy, no problem. AC. You don't have any formal training? No problem. Drive someone where he needs to go. What's the issue? I raised 3,000 shekel. Best fundraiser I ever did. I raised 3,000 shekel from people that barely had shekel themselves. Anyway, I go to the guy. He walks in. I said, I have good news for you. I said, I know that you always say how it's hard for you to work because of your legs, because of this, because of that. I said, today we raised 3,000 shekel for you. The guy's eyes lit up. 3,000 shekel for you to be able to buy you a medallion so you could drive a cab. In that way, it doesn't hurt your legs. You know, you have a problem breathing when you exert yourself. You won't have any issues. You sit all day comfortably, drive people here, there, you make a nice parnassah. The guy looks at me and he goes, Ma, אני צריך לעבוד מהבוקר עד הערב. I have to work from the morning till the night, exhausted, like this. He just threw it right back in my face. Guy has no interest whatsoever. I felt justified now, go back to the rabbi. I put together the money to buy him the medallion, to get him the job. The guy's not interested. He couldn't care less. He told me he doesn't want to work the whole day. I said, so now are we patur from giving him any tzedakah? My rabbi said, if someone's sick, you give him money because he's sick, he's not well, and he needs the support of the community. He says, a guy like this, the guy's majnun in the head. Doesn't he need our compassion? Doesn't he need our support? A guy that you give him the opportunity on a silver platter, and he's incapable of taking it. Doesn't he also need our compassion? It was one of those classic moments where I really understood how smart the Yetzer Hara really can be. Because once my rabbi explained to me like that, I was like, yeah, obviously. Obviously. You give the person the opportunity, but they have to be willing to take it. You can only bring the horse to water. You can't make him drink. Look, I'm sure you've experienced this with Exceed, right? So the nature of this is, if a person is not there, so hazit that they're not there. But that's the Yetzer Hara. He's so smart. Al ta'amin ba'atzmecha ad yom motecha. You're a Kohen Gadol, it's Yom Kippur, you're in the Beit HaMikdash, you're saying God's name, but you saw this lady you really want to marry, you know what might happen? You might say, I wonder how you could, I'm very curious about it, how he would have gone about killing this woman's husband. Like, would he have said the name? It's like, Misha Berach Avotenu. Is it the opposite of the Refuah Shlema prayer? Ilna lo refana lo. I'm not really sure. What do you say the guy's name? The name and his mother's name? The name and his father's name? Which way do you go when you're killing the Aiga? I'm not sure. I'm very curious about this. Not that there's anyone I'm trying to kill, but I find the whole concept just fascinating. My friends, such is the nature of the Yetzer. Such is the nature of the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara will do anything, he'll try anything. And no one is immune. In fact, that is the kindness of God. That no matter how many levels we play in the game. I used to be a video game junkie when I was a kid. Anyone here, video game junkie? Yeah? I'm a little bit older than you, so your video game youth is different than mine. But I played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the Nintendo, the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, whose hardware was so sophisticated that the only way you could get it to work after it stopped working was by taking the cartridge out and going I think it actually appeared on their website. You know what they tell you? Don't call technical support until you have made sure it's plugged in, blown on the cartridge. Have you blown in the machine? Okay? I play these games. I played them until I beat them. There's an amazing thrill when you win the game. When you beat Mike Tyson. I beat Mike Tyson. I beat Contra. I beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cost me a lot of quarters in the pizza shop, but I did it. It's a tremendous thrill when you win, followed by this dull feeling, what now? The game makers, they only made so many levels. And eventually you run out of levels. One of the kindnesses of God is that He makes a Yetzer Hara that is relentless, who never gives up. So there's always another level to conquer. There's always another place to go. Al ta'amin ba'atzmecha ad yom motecha. He's getting up in the morning. Are you? He's figuring out ways how to kill you. Are you figuring out ways how to protect yourself or kill him? Because He's coming for you. Every day. Every night. He never gives up. And if that's the case, it offers us an opportunity for growth, for reward, from the day we're born until the day we pass from this earth. May God bless us to win more battles than we lose. Baruch Adonai Le'olam.